It's time to get educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. This is the Dr. Duke Show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Duke Show. We have a fantastic show for you today, so please hit that share button to keep us growing. Today, we kick things off with the topic of authoritarianism, as more and more American youth say they support government telling them what to do, what others to do, and, if necessary, using violence to enforce those rules. This is a really dangerous issue we have. This is from Red State. The title, Beware America's Youth is Embracing Authoritarianism. All you have to do is take one look to the north, to Canada, to see where this is going to lead. And what's really galling about this is that the schools, starting in elementary school with this Black Lives Matter garbage, are radicalizing your kids that violence in the name of progressive causes isn't violence. Kids are learning that now at 7 and 8 and 10 and 12, that the kind of violence you see in the name of so-called fighting white supremacy and racial imbalance, that's legitimate protest, while any other kind of violence, like, a bunch of truckers showing up to protest, that's actually insurrection. Or the absurdity to turn January 6th of last year into a putsch against the American government is outrageously dishonest. But all those rioters in the street that summer, Black Lives Matter and Antifa, burning things down, looting, beating people, at one point destroying a police precinct building, all of that is protected, honorable speech. This is dangerous. One of the more peculiar developments, the story begins, over the past few decades is the rather sudden transformation of America's youth from independent-minded, anti-establishment culture warriors into like-minded, pro-establishment collectivist cowards. Although the seeds of this conversion were planted years ago, they are now in full bloom. And that's right. You remember when you went to school? I do. I was constantly being recruited to hate my culture, hate my religion, hate patriots, hate Western culture. We were supposedly learning in college and high school math and science and history, when in reality we were being groomed politically. I remember this, to be anti-Western, to be progressive, to be atheist in outlook, to condemn the excesses of Western culture. Why, in the name of culturalism, we were forgiving similar evils, worse evils in non-Western cultures. And so we get fast forward today where it's gotten much worse. The generation of the 60s that was told to fight the power, to reject government, to stand against the norms of your country, now is being told by the progressives in charge, you should stand with us, don't make waves, support the government no matter what it does, as long as it's doing progressive things. What a short turnaround. Show some of the statistics we've got here. A Heartland Rasmussen poll shows that Democrats still support draconian COVID measures. 59% of Democrats support government using force against Americans to make them remain confined in their homes if they dare refuse the COVID vaccine. And that 59% is higher among young people in this country than even the regular number for the Democrat Party. If 59% of Democrats are for it, more of them, young people, want to see violence if necessary. Some of these numbers are frightening. 78% of Democrats support Biden's vaccine mandate for businesses with more than 100 employees. 55% of young Democrats, more than that actually, support fining Americans who do not get the jab. 48% of Democrats say the government should fine or imprison Americans who publicly question the efficacy of COVID vaccines. To simply question whether the vaccines are useful and helpful, almost 50% of Democrats want punishment, including possibly imprisonment. 47% of Democrats support the government tracking the unvaccinated to ensure they are quarantined or socially distant. Follow them, surveil them, and then arrest them. And more than 1/4 of Democrats say parents should lose custody over their children if they refuse the COVID vaccine. And all those numbers are even higher when you're dealing with the college-age generation. We have a dangerous future. Its name is Trudeau. Its name is Canada. Its name is you being deprived of your civil rights under the guise of simple governance. You, as long as the progressives are in charge, you shut up, you listen, you underwrite any violence we use to stop the so-called perpetrators. We used to call those perpetrators citizens and dissenters. Not anymore.
Are you a fan of the show? Consider joining the Patriot Club. Your tax-deductible donation of $99 a year keeps us going. Simply visit patriotclub.us. That's patriotclub.us to pledge your support and receive our signature tumbler as a token of our appreciation. We've got much more to come. Stay with us.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, why do we have to live with them all? By them, of course, I mean the political elitists, and by all, I mean every last one of them. But today, let's focus on the most vain, the vein of my existence, if you will.
As the youngest woman in Congress, and as a woman of color, it's so hard to be taken seriously. It's just, it's like any workplace where sometimes it feels like you have to jump up and down for anyone to listen. It's just really difficult because some people are just born in bodies that are naturally taken more seriously,
And that's just a glance into her hall of mirrors. Enjoy.
I think you were fabulous.
Who down with AOC? Yeah, you know me.
The message. Tax the rich.
I think of myself as rather pragmatic, and I think of myself as looking at the logical ends and consequences of past policies and saying, how did we get here and how can we alter our future?
And then if people are going to call me a socialist for believing in those things, like, all right, call me a socialist. Like, I don't give a damn.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Is the new generation too delicate? No, I don't think they're too delicate at all. I think that they're badass. I think young people are more informed and dynamic than their predecessors.
I'm glad I didn't lose my touch.
You didn't lose your touch. You're still definitely a bartender.
I'm very proud of that.
According to your self-serving claims. So get out.
Now, in that last bit of video, you saw the Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez doing a little bitty bum as a dunk on Senator Ted Cruz. She followed that dunk with one on Tucker Carlson, which we'll go in more depth in later in the video, so make sure you stay tuned. Now, AOC tweeted out, "This is the type of stuff you say when your name starts with a P and ends with a dejo." What she meant was pendejo. It's just a vulgar slang for a stupid or contemptible person, because she is an elected official of the federal government. So, what a burn. It's probably why she needed to do this just yesterday.
Good job, good job.
Am I supposed to do it again?
Yeah, you're supposed to keep doing it.
Really?
Yeah.
How long?
Like multiple sets.
Okay.
Go for as long as you can.
3, 2, 1.
Chilling. We'll get to more vanity in a moment, but first, today's question. Who is the most vain person currently in Washington, D.C.? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you would, please share this video. Then we will see the vainest of the vain reflected in the mirror, mirror on the wall. I really do wonder if AOC should just look in the mirror and put this on repeat.
You will never be president. You will never command the respect of this country. Ever. Ever.
Anywho, just after Valentine's Day, the New Yorker showed the love and vanity opportunity for AOC to remind everyone that she does this all for herself and her self-interest while attempting to make your life worse.
Well,
But the presidency is so much larger than just the votes in the legislature. And I think that this is something that we saw a little bit with President Obama. I think we're seeing this dynamic perhaps extend a little bit into the Biden administration with a reluctance to use executive power.
Where would you move first? Where would you move most forcefully and effectively, do you think, in terms of executive power?
I mean, I think that one of the single most impactful things President Biden can do is pursue student loan cancellation.
Precisely. Joe Biden has been so reluctant to use the executive order, except for the fact that he relies on the executive order to do anything, most all of it for, you guessed it, vanity. And he just did another one to deny Russia the chance to profit, he says. Yeah, because that has Putin just quaking in his Spetsnaz. And that's Russian military boots for all of you uncultured. Let's just turn it back real quick once to exactly 2 years ago when Biden tweeted out, "Vladimir Putin doesn't want me to be president. He doesn't want me to be our nominee." If you're wondering why, it's because I'm the only person in this field who's ever gone toe-to-toe with him. I'm just putting this out there. But Vlad is simply biding his time on this one. I just can't understand why Joe isn't listening to AOC. After all, she continues to be the center of the literary world, with people making a buck off of her using that evil capitalism that she despises. The latest venture is a book about AOC, a love letter by the editors of the New York Magazine called Take Up Space, the Unprecedented AOC.
It's an amazing book. Let's put it this way. It opens by comparing Ocasio-Cortez to Jesus. And then it suggests that because she once got second place in a high school science competition, she could have gone on to win the Nobel Prize. It is a remarkable piece of journalism. We plan to put extensive excerpts from the book on the screen tonight for you to read. And then we thought, who reads anymore? Not Sandy Cortez. She never reads. Reading is racism. It's so white people.
Props to Tucker on this lampoon. But please, we need some quotes from the book.
On the day of the House vote, Ocasio-Cortez stood up in the chamber, again wearing all white. She looked like a prophet, or a medium tapping a deep well of popular fury.
She's not Jesus or a prophet, and neither is Justin Pajama Pants Trudeau, who has declared himself Soy Emperor of the North. If you haven't paid any attention to what is happening to our northern neighbors, then don't cry into your maple syrup and poutine, because in a moment's notice, you won't have any to cry into. Dictators keep the good stuff for themselves, after all, and then tell you that they are just like you and doing what they are doing for your own good.
I want to be very clear. The scope of these measures will be time-limited, geographically targeted, as well as reasonable and proportionate to the threats they are meant to address. The Emergencies Act will be used to strengthen and support law enforcement agencies at all levels across the country. This is about keeping Canadians safe, protecting people's jobs, and restoring confidence in our institutions.
Oh, law enforcement was strengthened all right. Strong enough, and proud of it, for a mounted police officer to trample over peaceful protesters. Those truckers in their big old trucks are so dangerous, just, idling there, that we had to put cops on horses and dang near kill someone. But it's not over. Even though traffic can carry on between the U.S. and Canada. Even though
the blockades are lifted across border openings right now, even though things seem to be resolving very well in Ottawa, this state of emergency is not over.
Yep. Even though Trudeau and his merry men, who aren't men at all, have continued to freeze bank accounts of just, moms, dads, factory workers, clearly all the truckers, and anyone who isn't taking the knee like Trudeau did for, Black Lives Matter riots that were encouraged, all while there was this thing called the pandemic. But I digress. If anyone donated even $1, or maybe it would be called a loonie up there into Canada, because they really are loony. Anyway, any donation to the trucker convoy puts average citizens at risk of having their bank accounts frozen. As of early this week, 206 bank accounts had been frozen, including a single mom working a minimum wage job who decided to give a whopping $50 to the Freedom Convoy. She sounds awful. To give to others. Well, now clearly she doesn't align there with Trudeau or AOC or Biden. I'm going to wrap this up because I'm so vain. And no, I don't actually think this song is about you. It's not about any of us. That's why you need to remember to give a few F's. Faith, family, and friends. Everything else is just for vanity, which may include sharing this video, but if you could do it anyway, I'd really appreciate it. Until next time, let's go Brandon, and stay healthy, America.
Today's show is sponsored by Clean Start Hand Sanitizer. For an odor-free foam hand sanitizer that lasts 2 hours and provides 19 refills, visit freedomproject.com/clean. That's KLEEN to order yours today.
It's time for Reclaiming America with our counterculture mom, Tina Griffin. Tina, thank you for being here today.
Hey, thanks for having me. How you doing, Dr. Duke?
Good. Looks like somebody put you up against a brick wall there.
Well, I want to just pretty much show America what we got to work on, and that's getting these masks off these kids.
Amen. And we've got, speaking of which, we've got a really viral video, some good news, viral video from Nevada of some kids being told that starting next week or very soon, we won't have to wear the mask. Take a look at this kind of genuine euphoria out of these little kids.
Starting tomorrow, we don't have to wear masks anymore.
Wow. I mean, that is a spontaneous eruption of joy. And it was the next day they were going to be free of those masks. What do you make of that?
You know what? There's two things. You know me, Dr. Duke. The positive is we're moving in the right direction, and it's from the mouths of babes. They see the lunacy about the whole mask mandate. And the other thing is I want to shed some tears for the other millions of schools that need to follow suit that are still making their children wear masks, students wear masks 24/7 where they can't breathe decent. The speech is behind by 374%. It's just insane how these kids cannot talk decent. And because of that, it's having a major impact on their speech development. So we've got to get all of our kids to breathe in America. The other part of me is just wanting to warn parents, they take the mask off, but I'm looking at don't be deceived by other things they want us to do, because if they have us do this and this comes off, well, this isn't needed if this happens. So there's a lot of things that connect together. Let's keep our body clean all around. No masks, no junk going in our immune system, if you can catch my drift, Dr. Duke.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw this or not, but there was the Centers for Disease Control very quietly change the standards for developing young people to cover their tracks. So for instance, they're now expecting far less word development by the child 2 years old than they would have expected before COVID. They didn't make a big public announcement. And the only reason for doing that is the mask. So basically what they've done is they've artificially made kids seem dumber than they are to cover their tracks with these masks.
It's their fault. The other thing that I look at is 2 steps ahead. If they want the communist regime here in America and they want children working for the government, they want to dumb them down. So in order to do that, look at all the damage they're doing with the mask, the 6 feet apart. They can't communicate decent. We already have an issue with social media that's causing kids to not know how to have a decent conversation with their peers, with their teachers. It's all a nasty plot and agenda. People are waking up to it, but look at these kids finally able to breathe again. Dr. Duke, I wanted to quickly rattle off a couple more things about this. Basically, many parents and leaders are still very angry that kids have been forced to cover their faces, obviously. Many kids in our country continue to still wear these at school. U.S. Senator Ron Johnson saw this video and said, the reaction is all you need to know about what the COVID gods' decisions have done to our kids. And then U.S. Representative Thomas Massie said the scene was heartwarming, but the abuse they've endured, right behind me, Dr. Duke, this guy with the mask on, the abuse they've endured at the hands of psychotic adults will have a lifelong effect. So we have to fight back for the sake of our kids.
The only thing they care about in education in the West is inclusion, which means no matter how far behind you are, you get promoted. No matter how illiterate you are, you still get your degree. Speaking of inclusion, take a look at the new M&Ms. Even M&Ms now, which have all those different colors, they all seem to be a diverse rainbow. You'd think they would be bragging about their rainbow of colors. No, they actually kind of inherently apologize for giving these different M&Ms different colors, but also different personalities. So M&M now has woke. Take a look at this video. So it's not mankind anymore, it's funkind. And the M&Ms, who were all very multicolor before, now have gotten apparently even, the funny thing is they all taste alike, right?
Yeah, it's about it. And Dr. Duke, the one thing that I noticed is the female character will no longer get to wear heels and stiletto boots. Come on now, let's keep these chicks. That's all I gotta say.
There's no such thing as candy women. You know that, right? Yeah. Tell people where they can get your stuff.
All right, peeps. All you got to do is download the Counterculture Mom app. Click on Premium. It's $5 a month. That helps us grow our army to get more dirt in your phone in the palm of your hand so you can fight back against this garbage coming from Hollywood. We also have it loaded with tons of great positive options. In fact, we just did a blast in the last 48 hours of the movie Washington's Armor. It is a must. Check out our app, Counterculture Mom. Click on Premium. Get more info on Washington's Armor. The movie is fantastic. It gets back in our brains and our children's brains how this country was founded. It came out yesterday. Just a positive outlook on life. What we put in our brain becomes who we are as a person. Let's get the trash out and the good stuff in.
It's time for some real education. This week we're showcasing our Battles of America series. These short videos are designed to educate children and adults alike on some of the greatest battles, most impactful battles in American history. Today we're looking at the Battle of Princeton in 1777 and its high significance and importance to the end of the Revolutionary War. Please enjoy.
Battles of America, Princeton. In December of 1776, a starving and exhausted Patriot army defeated the Hessians in the Battle of Trenton, New Jersey. The victory boosted the flagging confidence of the Patriots and drew many new recruits to the cause of independence. Expecting a British counterattack, General Washington risked a second crossing of the Delaware River. By New Year's Eve, he had moved his army back to Trenton, where they created a defensive line along the Assunpink Creek. British Lord Cornwallis sent 8,000 troops from Princeton, New Jersey, to engage the Patriots at what would come to be called the Battle of Assunpink Creek. Washington ordered 1,000 soldiers across the bridge to harass the British and slow their advance. Despite being repulsed after 3 successive assaults on Patriot positions, Lord Cornwallis remained convinced that the Americans were on the verge of collapse and resolved to deliver a crushing blow at dawn. But during the night of January 2nd, 1777, with their campfire still burning, the Patriots slipped away and headed northeast to attack Princeton. In the early morning hours of January 3rd, British Lieutenant Colonel Charles Mawhood was marching to Trenton in support of Cornwallis when he spotted the advancing Patriots through the trees. Attacking immediately, the British broke through General Hugh Mercer's brigade and bayoneted him, assuming they had killed General Washington himself. Shortly thereafter, General Cadwalader's forces appeared in support of the Patriots, but it wasn't until the arrival of Washington and his troops that the Americans were able to stave off the British assault, and Mawhood finally gave the order for British retreat. Back at Princeton, Brigadier General John Sullivan captured the city after overwhelming the small British regiment left to defend it. Washington knew that Cornwallis would move on Princeton, so 2 days later he moved his remaining troops to Morristown. The victory at Princeton, coupled with the other victories at Trenton, caused the British to vacate much of southern New Jersey. The tide of the Revolutionary War was beginning to turn in favor of the Patriots.
I can guarantee you that there's not a single American public school kid who's learning anything about the Battle of Princeton in their schools today. I want to take a moment to thank our Patriot Club, all you members, for making these videos possible. Without your one-time $99 donation, tax deductible, we couldn't continue to do this. The financial support provides the resources to bring these incredible stories to life for all to enjoy. In fact, we have many more battles we'd like to produce. We'd like to move on to the War of 1815. We want to move on to the Civil War. We want to move on to World War I and World War II and document in beautiful animation these stories. All we need is a little help from you. If you're not already a member, please consider joining our Patriot Club. Simply visit patriotclub.us to get started. And thank you for all your support. Okay, before we wrap up, I do want to take a moment to show some love to our Patriot Club members. Today we give a great big shout out to Wayne from Shingle Springs, California. Thanks for supporting us, raising the roof in Shingle Springs. And that's going to do it for this show. I'm Dr. Duke. Until next time, stay educated, my friends, and that means know your damn history.